There's an old Hasidic tongue-in-cheek statement that says that if you don't believe the stories about the Hasidic Rebbes, the Hasidic masters, you're not Bikoris, you're a heretic. But if you believe all of the stories, you're a fool. And I think, as far as this whole COVID-19 thing goes and this transition phase that we're in now, if you believe everything you're seeing on the internet and all the warnings and all of that, not a good idea. But if you think this is over and you think that you have nothing to worry about anymore, I would suggest that's a really foolish thing to think. And I've been watching and listening for the last couple of days to some folks, and it really frightens me that some people think this is over, and some people think, that we can just go on our business as if it were February. That's not the case, my friends. People ask me often, what type of kids I deal with. I work with kids at risk or families or abuse survivors. What type of kids do I deal with? And I always say I learned from the Malach HaMavis, from the angel of death. He kills kids from all backgrounds. And when the kids are passing around the joint, they don't care where you came from. So I have the same attitude. Let me tell you something, folks. COVID-19 doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. And I think we should really approach this with care and with thoughtfulness. There is a risk-reward question of very, very legitimate discussions about businesses, about shuls, places of worship should be open, should be closed. There's a tremendous cost, and we do a risk-reward assessment and try to figure out what the wise thing to do is. And that makes a lot of sense. And there are different approaches, but plain, simple common sense that there is no risk, there is no reward, only risk by not doing it, like wearing a mask and social distancing and just being prudent and careful and not to jump headlong, as much as we all would love to do this, not to jump headlong into just things the way they used to be is just flat out dangerous. Even 20 years ago, before the whole talk about vaccine and anti-vaxxers, I was a principal of yeshiva. And I had a policy across the board that everybody had to vaccinate. And when people came and said, well, I don't believe in it, this doctor said this one said, I said, listen, I have a responsibility as the head of the school to keep an eye on, protect my students, and I have to follow mainstream medical advice. And mainstream medical advice across the board was to vaccinate your children. If you feel differently, homeschool your kids or send them someplace else. You're entitled to do what you want. I'm not raising your children, but I have a responsibility as the head of the school to do what I think is right. Here's my suggestion to everybody. Ignore all the noise. Ignore the chatter on both sides of the fence politically. Ask your doctor. Pick up a phone and ask your doctor what he or she thinks you should do. Should you be social distancing now? Should you be going to certain things that are not that important to go to, rather social gatherings? Should you be wearing a mask when you're out? Ask your doctor, but don't ask a question like, am I going to die if I don't wear a mask? Shava b'shava. Ask as if it's 50-50. Say, what would you recommend that I do to keep my family safe and to find balance? I'm begging you. We went through this already. Please be prudent, be careful for your own sake, for the sake of your families, and for the sake of our community and the entire country and world. Please be careful. Best wishes for a beautiful and wonderful Shavuos to everyone. Thank you.